Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Reviewing Comics with me, your host, Alexander Turbin. Today we're going to be going over Red Sonja #1 from Dynamite Comics. It's a 2019 comic, but before we get into that, I'd like to show you some of my own work. This is Random Access. It's a full-size, full-color 12-page comic book that I produce every month. It has, like I said, it's full size, full color. You can get this at patreon.com/Alexander Turbin, or you can go to my website, alexanderturbin.com, or you can contact me at alexturbin04401 at yahoo.com, which is my email, or alexturbin04401 at Instagram. So yeah, this is all of the different random accesses. This is the newest one. And there's 25 issues so far of Volume 2. And Volume 1, there's 14 issues. But I'm going to be discontinuing Volume 1 shortly. But let's get on to Red Sonja. So, like Kurt Bruegel once said, I'm a sucker for all sword and sorcery stuff. Yeah, I just love sword and sorcery. I love Conan. I love Crom. I love pretty much everything that has to do with sword and sorcery is just like the best. Sword and Sorcerer is one of my favorite movies, even though it's kind of cheesy. And it's just awesome. All of those 80s movies that are just cheese, barbarian, sword and sorcery, I just love. It's just the greatest. So it's a little odd that I don't love Red Sonja. Maybe it's the fact that she's not really part of the Conan universe or part of the book Conan universe. She's certainly part of the comic book Conan universe, but is that different than the Conan book universe? In my mind, I don't think it is. And if you're going to introduce new characters and stuff, I guess they have to have originated in the books or something. There's something about Red Sonja that I just have never really connected with, and I think it's because she's not part of the original Conan universe that Robert E. Howard created. Maybe I'm silly. Maybe I'm stupid. Let me know what you guys think. Are you into Red Sonja? Does it affect you, the fact that you like her or not? Does it the fact that she was created in 1973 instead of the 1930s by the original creator of Conan, in which world she is? Let me know. Also, she's part of that world. She's part of the Hyborian age with the Sumerians and all of the Hittites and all of the different characters and nations and people of the Robert E. Howard books. But is she? She wasn't originally. I don't know. It throws me for a loop. So I just have really never loved Red Sonja, probably because of that. I got this one. I was going to get it anyway. Red Sonja #1, Sword and Sorcery. I'm going to get it, especially to review. But also one of the main reasons is Joseph Michael Linster did the cover, and that's fantastic. I absolutely adore his art. He is one of the greatest artists of all time, in my humble opinion. I just love his faces, his bodies, his textures. His layouts, his dynamic poses. I love everything about his artwork. I just think it's fantastic. So the beginning is it's a #1. So they're going to tell you a little bit about Red Sonja and stuff. But basically it tells you that she was at this, and to reiterate or to let you know, I don't really know anything about Red Sonja. I don't never read any of the comics. In a few of the Conan books, I guess she's in, but I'm not steeped in the lore of Red Sonja because I never really liked her that much, so I never really got into it. But I might go back and get some Red Sonja books because I think they're relatively cheap and they might be a good way to quench that sword and sorcery fix that I often need. So like all Conan stuff, it says, "Know then, O Prince, that the warrior known as Sonja the Red was styled." So it's the beginning of every, Conan thing. It's just like that. The Nemedian Chronicles. Is there a book called the Nemedian Chronicles? Is there a comic book called the Nemedian Chronicles? I'm going to check, because if there isn't, there should be, and maybe I will create one. I think that would be friggin' fantastic. But anyway, just to get back to this, they talk about where Red Sonja's been. I don't know if it's since her previous incarnation in comic books, or whether this is just a completely made up storyline, and so she's been off somewhere else. She was in another country. with the Master of War, Domo of Kitai. So she's in Kitai. She's like the a daughter like of the warlord, and he teaches her all of the things that she needs to know. If anybody knows that this is a continuation of something, please let me know. And if you have any thoughts or recommendations for what I should read, if I'm going to tip my toe into the Red Sonja universe, please let me know. Maybe I can get past this whole she wasn't created by Robert E. Howard kind of thing. Another thing that makes me I'm not a sexist dude. I think women can do anything that a man can do, pretty much. Brienne of Tarth is my favorite character in Game of Thrones, but they don't draw Red Sonja as a big hulking woman, and I just feel like she would have been cut down by bigger men, bigger, stronger, faster men in this era. I guess it's possible. There's plenty of women warriors who are worth their salt, and they're and I really think that a lot of women can do the jobs, Secret Service or stuff like that. I feel like women can be really tough, and there's plenty of women that can kick my ass. That's for sure. But I just have a hard time because so much of Conan's lore and story and everything is just brute force strength. That's what Robert E. Howard really envisioned as the whole crux of Conan, was that he was a barbarian. He was focused on strength. He did not solve his problems with intellect and reasoning and all of that other stuff. He was strong. He just used his brute force to solve all of his problems. So maybe this is a nice or alternative to that, or another side to that, another dimension to that whole phase of the story, is that I think she's supposed to be a little bit more cerebral and a little bit smarter. Again, let me know if you guys have anything to say about an intelligent Red Sonja versus a stupid Conan. But so the Median Chronicles say that she was away, and that and then something happened. The realm known as the Map Makers. And she's from Hycaria. Anyway, she's from that realm, and she left Hyboria to go to stay with this Domo of Kitai. Something happens. I don't think they actually say what happens, but the realm was destroyed, and she is fleeing for her life. But it doesn't start with her like a lot of good stories. It starts elsewhere, and I think that kind of might be a little bit of, I'm not going to say downfall, because I did like this book. I'm going to say that right from the beginning. I did like this book. I did enjoy it. I did like Red Sonja's characterization and her dialogue and everything. I did enjoy that. But some of this becomes a little disjointed, and maybe that leads into why I'm not a big Red Sonja fan. Stygia has fallen, the divine emperor Dragon the Magnificent. Dragon is a king, and he's taken over the realm of Stygia. No, not Stygia. Yeah, Stygia, and he has all of these people in chains, and he's going to decide their fate. They're going to go before the king, and he's going to decide their fate. So you have this previous king of where was it? I can't remember what it was that he took. Zamora. Yes. He's the king of Zamora, and he's in a line, and he's been imprisoned, and each person goes before the king and tries to kind of say why they're worthy of living and not being beheaded or killed or whatever. So they interject a lot of humor into this. Like the king is saying all of these things. The old king of Zamora, is talking about all of these things that all of these qualities he has, and blah blah blah. And then you hear chop chop. Somebody's head is been chopped off. So, and he's also lamenting the great qualities of the new King Dagon, and just trying to build himself up, trying to get himself some some headway into feeling that he might live and he's not going to end up dead. So he ends up in front of the king, and the king says that he plotted his murder, basically because he went to some sort of sorceress or something when he was young, and he's an emperor, and when he stops trying to expand, or when his empire stops expanding, then that's when somebody is going to kill him and destroy his empire, basically. So he has to keep exploring new possibilities and keep dominating other countries and expanding his own empire. And by the previous king of Zamora trying to assuage him or stop him from taking over their country, he says that's akin to him trying to kill him. So he's like, I'll give you a little chance first. There's another country, Hakaria, like I said, if we stop expanding, I'm going to get killed. So I have to keep expanding, and there's this country, Hakaria, and we're going to go there next. The ex-king of Zamora explains to Dagon that Hakaria has nothing. They're like sheep herders, or not even sheep herders. They're cow killers. They live in dirt huts, and yes, you could easily overtake them, but if you lose, then it's not worth the benefits of having them as part of the Stygian kingdom. They're really just losers and not worth it. But the king is like, that's a horrible answer. And before they made this kind of quirky, funny jibe about how they're going to kill him. They're going to put him in a sack with 27 scorpions and 30 rats and a goat, and how it symbolizes cowardice and backstabbing and stuff like that. So he's like, he gives him this advice, and the king's like, throw him in the sack. So he's really not worth it. So enter Red Sonja. She's escaped from the master war Domo of Katai, his realm. Somebody took it over or something. She escaped, and she's headed back to Hyrcania. Hyrcania? I think it's Hyrcania. So it's in like a deserty kind of land. I'm thinking it's like Mongolia, where it's just like flat lands, maybe desertish kind of stuff. Her horse is about to die. She's having these flashbacks of Major Domo and all of the things that he taught her. Like he said, winning battles isn't by being fastest or strongest or more clever or whatever. It's by doing the things that your enemy doesn't expect. So she always tries to do things that her enemy doesn't expect. Horse dies. She knows that she's being followed by these mercenaries. I don't know, army from the previous, that took over the previous realm or whatever. She leaves the horse. She's hiding somewhere. I don't know where she's hiding. It's a desert. There's plains everywhere. There's like little hills and stuff. So she must just be scooching down behind one of these plains or whatever, because they're looking at the horse, and she comes by and she chucks her sword at one of them through the neck and steals his horse. And she's galloping along, trying to escape her pursuers, and they just start shooting arrows at the horse, and she tumbles along, and she's just sitting there waiting for them, because even through all of this, do different things than your enemy expects, and be smarter and blah blah blah, all that. She's still in the barbarian age, so when it comes to it, she's going to clash with them hand to hand. She does do this one thing where there's like lots of sand and stuff, and so they're just like shooting arrows into the sandstorm, even though they can't see. And she's not in the sandstorm. I don't know where she is. Again, she must be hiding behind a little a grassy knoll or something. I don't know. But she comes up behind them and starts cutting their heads off and killing them. So she's killed a whole bunch of people, her pursuers and stuff. And then somebody comes along, because she doesn't have a horse or anything. I think all of the horses have died. or maybe not. And it's the Hyrcanian people want her to go to the Council of Elders, and they make this joke about because since they're called the Council of Elders, they must be really smart, and he's like, they're old. So he takes her to the Council of Elders, and the Council of Elders want to make her queen. Basically, it all boils down to they've heard of her exploits, of her adventures, and they think that she's a great person to kind of lead them. So they've all decided she's the new queen of Hycaria, and she is totally baffled, doesn't understand what's going on, why they've named her queen, or anything. And then the last piece of information that we get is one of the envoys from the Stygia, not Stygia, not Stygia, Zamora. The last, an envoy from Zamora is coming to her, and they had made earlier this little quippy thing about how the old king of Stygia had an envoy from Zamora and said, you are now the property of the Zamoran king, Dagon. Your kids are the property, blah, blah, blah. Your relatives, your dog is the property of Dagon. So it just goes on, and they're like, how long is this list? And it's kind of like a quirky thing. So then there's an envoy. He reaches Red Sonja. You know how this is going to go. He's going to bring the information of her either bowing down before the king of Zamora, or he comes in, he kills everybody and everything like that. She's like, take this guy away. I'm going to reply to him. And she reads all of this wall of text of how she and the Hyrcanians should bow down before the Zamorans and become part of their empire, and they're going to give their firstborns to the Zamoran Empire as soldiers, and basically they're just going to rape and pillage the whole countryside, and if they're lucky, they'll live. Oh, and if they do something naughty, then we'll kill all your kids anyway. She's like, can you believe this guy? And she says, I'm going to post a reply. Or first she's like, why would they leave me? Why would I even care about any of this? I'm the last of my kind. I'm the last. I don't have any family. And then the servant explains to her that she has a cousin who escaped all of the atrocities that killed her family and all that stuff. So somewhere out there in Hyrcania, she has a cousin. So it's Red Sonja has some sort of tie to Hyrcania and the people now. So she's like, I'm going to draft a reply. And basically she sends it with the envoy back to the king of Zamora with her reply. And it's a skull. And she's like, we're not worth the trouble. We're poor. We're stupid. We don't have anything to offer you. But you're right. We do offer you this. And it's a bunch of crap that she stuffed in the skull. So it's gone all over the king of Zamora. And he's all angry and stuff. And then this is very odd. He says that he's wants to gather all of the troops, all of the bannermen, all of the warriors, and they're going to go on this massive siege against Hyrcanian, and he's going to lead them personally. But then the envoy says, "There's more to the message, Your Magnificence," and he says, "Read it to me on the way of cleaning up the poop that got on him." And then that's how it ends. I don't understand why it would end that way. That's not a cliffhanger. That's like the lamest cliffhanger I've ever seen in my whole entire life. It's not exciting. It's just like, you could have given that last little bit of information and it would have been the cliffhanger. Oh yeah, she's going to kill you. Something like that. So I'm going to go into the writing and the story. The story is pretty good. The writing and the dialogue is really good, actually. I really enjoyed it. I don't like the fact that they put little quips in. They try to make it a Marvel cinematic movie, experience with all these little quips and quirky things and this humor and stuff. And yes, there is humor in Conan, but it's usually dark and gritty, and this is kind of dark and gritty. Like they joke about putting him in the bag, and then they're like, "Oh, we'll give you a chance," and then they're like, "Oh no, you're going in the bag." So I mean, that kind of stuff is quirky and stuff like that, but it just feels a little too much, a little. Just a little forced, kind of a lot like Thor, Love and Thunder, and also that Star Wars movie, the second one mostly, or is it the third one? One of them has super humor, lots of humor that just does not fit a Star Wars movie, and it does fit a Marvel Comics movie, does not fit Star Wars, does not fit a sword and sorcery comic book, doesn't fit. So that made my reading experience a little bit less. Another thing, I like the designs on all of the characters. I love all of Red Sonja. I think she's great in all of these characters and creatures and stuff. They're all great. He's a king, and yet he only has this fez on his head, and I know that, excuse me, they're supposed to be like desert people, I suppose. But if he's a king, he's not just a king, he's a mighty emperor, and he just has this little cap on his hat and nobody around, and his palace chambers is just like this plain old thing. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. I would have put a lot more gravitas on the king, both kings. I mean, he would have been in a some kind of shawl, some kind of ornate garments or something like that. Or he would have been in something that a prisoner would wear, one or the other. So I just think that their emperors were a little toned down, and I don't know if it's a time thing or it's a, I don't know. I just don't know why they would not put the effort into showing a little bit more ornate detail for kings. These are not just regular people. These are kings of Zamora. These are kings of Stygia. They should show some kind of representation of that. I mean, they're rich and powerful. The art, I think, is fantastic, especially the artists. It says Russell, Cole, Kelly, Osmond, Ithio, Cosby. Doesn't say who does what. So I don't know. Is it in the back? It's in the back here. I just don't know who did what. Written by Mark Russell, illustrated by Mirko Kolak. So written by Russell, drawn by Kolak. So I really enjoyed the writing, like I said, except for that little part where I just think they press the humor a little bit too much, which humor in a story is integral. It really is a great vehicle for going from something funny to something dark. I really enjoy that, and it adds to the complexity of the story. Guardians of the Galaxy is one of my favorite of the Marvel movies, and it's also probably the funniest of all the Marvel movies. And it doesn't overshadow the intensity or the darkness of the rest of the book, which is what those things kind of do. This guy, the artist, is really pretty good. I really enjoy his art a lot. Mirko Kolak. There's some things that I really enjoy a lot. He does a lot of really let's see how you put this. All of the slow panels, the talking heads, they're all enjoyable. Nothing too much to look at though. But what is talking heads is always more difficult to draw, and it's also more difficult to make dynamic and interesting. But he does a pretty good job. Like I said, I would have liked a little bit different clothing and stuff for the kings and soldiers and stuff like that. And then the other parts of showing the countryside of Hercaria and the common people and stuff. He's got a nice variety of close-ups and medium shots and long long distance shots and stuff. He's got a nice variety of stuff, and at no time do I complain about his narrative art. It's super smooth, super easy to read. He doesn't have, when there's a lot of information and stuff, he packs in the panels. When there's a little bit more action and stuff, he pulls back on the panels and kind of just shows a little bit more of the action. I like how he leaves a lot of negative space between the panels, and yet he also tightens some up and gives some overlapping stuff. My only real complaint is that some of these details, like the hair is just everywhere, and I know that that's an artistic choice. I just think I would have rather have seen her face here and here instead of hiding it in here. Her face is always being hidden, and maybe that except for a few panels. But if you're going to show her face anyway, then why not show all of it? I know she's supposed to be a massive amount of hair, but it just, I would have liked to have seen here especially and here, because the action sequences are really fantastic. There's lots of follow through. There's some beginning and ending of the action, which is really what I look for. Lots of emotion in their eyes and their faces, in their bodies. It's just, all of the action is really fantastic, and I really enjoy it. And except for those few complaints about not showing her face enough, I really love the art. I really love the texture. He does some really great texture, and the colors. The colors were fantastic too. Because if this had been too bright, which I'm trying to darken up my colors in my own Cyrene comic, but the textures are really nice, and the colors are really subdued, and yet they hold a lot of depth, and they create a lot of depth in the book. But it's really fantastic art. I really love the art. So I'm going to give this a rating. If I see Red Sonja #2 in the dollar bin, gonna grab it. Am I going to go out to eBay and pay $5 or $6? Not going to do that. So it's over 7. Good story. I love the cover, of course, so that bumps it up a little bit. Nice story. I would say this would be close to a 9 or 8.5, if not for that humorous part that they're trying to force. If you try to force humor and it doesn't take, then it just kind of leaves you wanting more, in my case anyway. So I'm going to give this a solid 8. I love the cover, love the artist, but I wouldn't seek him out and look for other stuff. He does his art is so much like modern artists. It's really nice, it's really polished, it's really good. But where's the style? There's not so much a lot of different style that really brings you in and makes you say, I want to follow this artist. I mean, are there artists out there, new modern artists out there, that you're like, I really need to get everything that they've produced? I don't know. I'm not into the modern stuff. So let me know if you guys are like, oh, you've got to check out this guy and that guy. Their stuff is completely different, and they have their own unique style. Let me know. Anyway, Red Sonja #1 from 2019 from Dynamite Comics. Giving it an 8.0. And I did enjoy it. And if I do see it in the dollar bin, I'm going to pick more up. And I'm going to pick up more Red Sonjas anyway. What the heck? Anyway, if you enjoyed this episode and you enjoy Sword and Sorcery or indie comics, I usually do mostly indie comics from the 80s and 90s and 2000s and stuff, let me know. And please consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell and give me a thumbs up. That's always appreciated. And thanks for watching, and have a great rest of your week. And I will see you on Wednesday, and keep on creating.